Manchester United looking at potentially bringing in a new goalkeeper in the summer, but who for? Is it a first-team goalkeeper? Is it somebody else? The Manchester United share price has skyrocketed up over 7% in the last day and 15% in the last 5 days due to Manchester United UAE talks. Is it speculation that is causing the share price to explode, or is more going on? Or what is the latest on this potential United takeover and sale to the Middle East? Joshua Zirkzee looks set to leave United in January, but clubs in Italy interested in him. He's also been linked to the likes of Brighton as well, but there's a feeling Zirkzee could be on his way back to Italy for game time ahead of the World Cup. Manchester United hold talks and have a meeting with Elliot Anderson's agents. Manchester United hold a meeting over that deal, but the source is a bit take with a pinch of salt. And then we're going to talk about the latest on Licha's return. He's had a scan, and stuff is good. United aren't going to rush him back. And James Garner being linked to United, and I have to say he's been really good for Everton under David Moyes. I'd be shocked if we brought him back though, but good player. So yeah, we'll start with the Lemens story. We'll then get into the takeover news. We'll then get into the Elliot Anderson news. We'll then get into the injury news and other updates. But if you do enjoy today's video, feel free to hit that like button, and you're welcome to subscribe if you're new. Every single day on the channel, there's a 10-minute video rounding up all the latest Manchester United news to the point in 10 minutes for you guys. So we're going to start with the first story. Again, I apologize if there's any issues with the audio and anything like that today. I'm on the go, so I'm in one of these soundproof boxes while I'm out and about, which has like a weird background noise. But yes, it was said by the Mail Sport this: there is every chance that Man United will be in the market for a new goalkeeper next summer, but it's more likely to be a backup option to replace Tom Heaton. Now, I'm quite happy to read this story because there was obviously talk about a month ago that United's priority in the summer was a goalkeeper, and I'm saying that Le Mans hasn't even made his debut, and we're already hearing transfer rumours that goalkeeper's the priority next summer when Le Mans hasn't made his debut. For me, look, Le Mans could play for us the rest of the season, and we might think at the end of the season, you know what, he's not good enough, la la la, but he's on low wages, we didn't spend a lot of money on him, he can be a good backup, you know, la 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 la. Like, we might think that, or we might think at the end of the season, Le Mans is some of the best bit of business we've ever done, how come we spent 3 times more on Onana? We don't know how we're going to feel about Le Mans at the end of the season, but I've always said we cannot prioritise getting a first-team goalkeeper when we've brought someone in and we've not even given him a run of games to test him. It looks like when it was said that United's priority was signing a goalkeeper, it is a backup keeper to replace either Bayendier or Heaton or both, as United want to reset the goalkeeping department. I think United will probably let Heaton go and bring in a young backup keeper, which makes sense. I think we can't make any decisions on a first-choice keeper until we've given Le Mans a run of games. I think the priority will be 2 midfielders. I think it will be someone like a left wing back if Amorim stays, or a left winger if we go back to 4-3-3, a centre back for depth potentially, and then maybe goalkeeper depending on how Le Mans does. But if we're going off Le Mans' debut, he looks like a very good keeper, and I think he'll succeed. I'm quite confident Le Mans will succeed. You know, we might be at the end of the season and think no, but as of now, he's given us really good signs, and I think he will be a success, and I think we'll all be happy with him at the end of the season. And I don't think we'll need a first-team keeper. Fingers crossed. So let's talk about the Manchester United share price that went up 7.87% today, and the last 5 days has increased by 15.3%. The Glazers may be contacted by the New York Stock Exchange and forced to comment soon if it continues to rise, according to some people online. I don't know the ins and outs of the stock market and how it works, but it's been said that if it continues to rise, the Blazers may get contacted and actually asked to speak on it to confirm or deny this. Now, speculation is likely the main reason behind the price increase. There's been talks with the UAE, there's been talks with the Middle East. We know that right now the Glazers can force Ratcliffe into a sale since August 13th. And one thing we also know is that the Glazers could get a lot of money if they sell between now and February 2027, because it means the club has to be sold over a certain price, which is the best opportunity for the Glazers to cash in. We know the Glazers have been in the Middle East a lot. We know they've got connections with the Middle East. We know there's rumours of Saudi, Qatar, and the UAE. And look, I think that the speculation and rumours is probably why the stock price has gone up. I think that's probably the only reason behind it. I don't think there's any more behind it, because that would be stock manipulation. But we do know the Glazers like the UAE. And Chris Wheeler, who is a good journalist, has given some updates on the sort of situation and what he knows. Something as big as a potential Manchester United takeover is always shrouded in secrecy, so it's very hard to tell if there's any real possibility of the club being sold. The Glazers would demand in excess of $5 billion to sell up. The consortium Turkey was talking about is alluded to is the UAE based. There is talks going on between United and the UAE. Now, Turkey said that the deal was advanced. I don't think a deal is advanced, but there was some kind of conversations going on because the UAE reached out to ex-Man United players about a project. So there's talks going on with United and the UAE, and that speculation has caused the share price to rise. I don't think there's any more to it. Some people think, this is something secretly happening behind the scenes. The share price has risen. The share price has risen because of speculation. We don't know, and Chris Wheeler said this, if what the Glazers want to do. It's hard to know what the Glazers want to do and what the Glazers' plan is. But, sorry, my screen just froze there. But what I was trying to say is, we don't know for sure what the Glazers' plan is, and we don't know, and it's secret and it's hard to know. So there's a lot of rumours about this takeover, and we haven't had Ornstein or Romano giving us any kind of update. Now, sometimes rumours come out and it gets shut down by Ornstein or Romano within less than 24 hours. It's not been shut down. In fact, other people have said, well, there is talks going on and there is interest here and they are considering making a bid, but no one knows for sure. This could be talks over minor investments. This could be talks over stadium investment. We don't know if it's to do with a full sale. We don't know if it's to do with a wholesale. It could be talks over minor investment. It could be talks over many things. One source says it's advanced. That isn't believed to be true. But what we do know is there's talks going on. There's conversations ongoing. This is probably the best time for the Glazers to sell. So it's definitely something that's been considered. But we don't know if a bid's going to go in. Let's continue on into more news and stories. So, Joshua Zirkzee could be offered an escape route from Manchester United by Roma and Como, was said by Paul Hurst of The Times. It's also been mentioned by Fabrizio that Zirkzee might consider moving to Italy if his situation doesn't change. There's a good player in there. I'm hoping we keep him by giving him some game time, says United faithfuls, and I agree. I think there's a really good player in Zirkzee. I'm a big fan of Zirkzee. I think there's a really good player in there. And, I don't want him to leave. I don't want Zirkzee and Maynard to go. But I think because of no Europa League, because of being knocked out of competitions early, it's difficult to get minutes. Now, I think with Maynard, I don't understand why it's so hard for Maynard to get minutes when the midfield is the midfield. But with Zirkzee, we've got loads of number 10s. Bruno Ahmed and Bumo Cunha Mount are ahead of him as a number 10. Sesko's the number 1 striker. Unless Sesko picks up an injury, in which Cunha could then go striker and Mount would be left 10. Unless Sesko and Mount both are out for the next 3 months injured, it's very hard to see Zirkzee getting minutes, sadly. So I think that Zirkzee is going to go on loan in January. I think that Maynard will stay, I think, because the midfield is so thin. And I think it's a shame because I think Zirkzee is a very good player, but I can understand why Zirkzee would want to go on loan in January. I can fully understand it because I'm like, well, he's not really going to get many minutes, and the World Cup's there. And that's a shame that we're not in Europe. But I think Zirkzee could go. But this is the interesting report that's come out on Elliot Anderson. Manchester United officials met with CAA Stella, the agency representing Elliot Anderson. They presented their long-term project to the player who's set to leave in January/summer. So this has come out from INEOS, who were right on the Baleba story, but then they said that Bruno had already agreed to join Saudi, which got debunked by Romano a few hours later. And some of the stuff they've come out in regards to United since that Baleba story has been well off the pace. But they are saying that Man United have met with the agency representing Elliot Anderson and have presented their long-term project to Elliot Anderson, who's set to leave Forest in January/the summer. I think Elliot Anderson will leave Forest in the summer. I don't think it will be an easy deal to do. I think Mr. Marinakis will be very difficult to deal with and want a lot of money. But I do think that Elliot Anderson will probably leave Forest in the summer. I don't know if he'll go to Manchester United, but I'm very confident that Manchester United will be looking at Elliot Anderson, Baleba and Wharton. I think they'll be the 3 midfielders we're looking at, and I think the goal is to bring one of them, potentially 2 if possible. Like with Cunha and Mbuma, we actually ended up getting both. I know I said I think the goal to be to bring in one of them, but apparently Manchester United have had a meeting. Apparently talks are ongoing in regards to Elliot Anderson, and look, if this is true, it's a very good move. I'd be very happy with it. But it's very early days, and I think unless Romano and Ornstein or Laurie Whitwell really get talking about something, I think you have to take it with a pinch of salt. Continuing on, we've got an update in regards to Lisandro Martinez, who's very close to returning to full training with United. And Martinez had positive results on the scan on his left knee as of last week, so good signs. There's been 4 or 5 journalists say over the last month that Licha is close to return, but we know that United don't want to rush him back, and we don't need to rush him back. We've got Shaw, we've got Aiden Heaven, we've got even Yoro that can play left centre-back if we put Manjari right centre-back. We're in no rush because I do think that we have a lot of options at the back. And then last but not least, Graham Bailey said that United are aware of James Garner's situation. They always keep an eye on academy graduates, and he is playing particularly well. I'm told he's shown up well during reports within the recruitment department, said by Graham Bailey. He also mentioned he had a good season with Everton since David Moyes has come in. And yeah, I mean, he's been really good for Everton since David Moyes has come in the door. He's a good player. He's a player that I thought we sold for way too cheaply. Another one that Ten Hag got rid of, but I think he probably wasn't ready to play for Manchester United at the time we got rid of him. He took a couple of years at Everton to get up to this level, and I'm happy James Garner's doing well, but I don't think he's the level of Elliot Anderson, Baleba, Wharton. I like Garner, but I think, the midfielders we should be going for I named earlier. Anyway, thank you for watching. Bye.